So can I watch the stream at the same time too?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Go to the Spire's YouTube channel,
Yeah, I'm there already.
and it'll be up there.
Okay.
It'll be slightly behind, but you can still definitely watch it, and you
Yeah.
can see like how many people are in there and whatever else.
Oh, cool, cool, cool. The art of visual storytelling. That's all we're promising here.
Yeah, yeah. That's
The
right.
funny thing is, like, I don't really have any answers for any of this. It's kind of for me like a jam session.
Hmm.
Sometimes, you get like provided like, this is like the kind of the chord structure. We're playing this in A, and you're just like, all right, let's jam
That's
this in.
it.
Here's his warehouse. You have a couple tools.
That's right. That's exactly how these kinds of things go, man. And
Yeah.
so yeah, so it's yeah, yeah, totally.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. So short notice.
What's up, people?
All right. Hey, Eric. Hey, Nick. Hey, Mar. I was just hanging out with you guys. Hello! I haven't streamed to YouTube from my home PC in a hot second. So hopefully we'll have better luck this time than we did on the last stream.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I basically have decided that it's a horrible idea to stream to YouTube in general, but especially from a laptop.
Hmm.
So we really need to get the Spire's Twitch stream thing going.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Jack's here in the comments. Okay,
What's up, Jack?
How you doing, Jack?
I'm a little bit quiet. All right, thanks for letting me know, Mar. Is that better? Just don't want to have like Jonas and Peter going double. You guys want to say something real quick? I'm just checking levels here.
Yeah, that's cool. Check, check, check.
Check, check, check.
All right. Hopefully that's okay. What's up, David? Hello. I saw you're doing a vocalist chat with Jake E on the 7th. That's really cool. I'm excited to
Nice.
watch that. He's one of my favorite clean singers. So welcome everyone. Welcome Caleb. Welcome Rex. Thank you so much for being here on a hopefully more successful stream than usual. Here with us today is Jonas from Mvision Productions, or is it just Mvision now?
It's just Envision.
Okay, sorry that I keep getting it wrong. My
No
bad.
problem. That's fine.
Um,
It's fine. Thanks
so
for having me.
of course. So you've been working with us since the very beginning, right?
Yes, yeah. I was thinking the other day, it must be 5 years now, maybe 4 years.
Yeah, I think you're right. They
The
said
first
you're a little
round was Cabaret of Dreams and Paradox, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think yeah, those were the first two that we did together. Guys, let me know if
Mm-hmm.
the levels are a little bit better. I see you said that Jonas is a little quiet, and I just tried to put a compressor on the desktop audio input, so
One, two, test, test, test.
hopefully
Better?
that's okay.
Yeah.
But yes, yeah. So the first ones that we did together were, I think we filmed them in 2015,
Mm-hmm.
although we didn't actually release them until 2017 with the
Yeah,
arrival
that
of
was
Silver.
that was 2015. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
Wow.
I remember we were all very young, and this was at least the first video shoot for Dovis and I. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
about the rest of you guys, but yeah, at that time, like we had no idea what we were doing, vision wise and whatever else, and so we're lucky that we've been working with you since the beginning because things after a long time working together, we've both got visions that work together quite nicely. You know,
Thank you, Pete. Yeah.
yeah.
I definitely think that. So I remember when my mom and I were looking for videographers to work with for the first music videos. And the thing that we really loved about Mvision was that you guys had such a focus on storytelling. And I know that you don't really work with artists as much these days, but you still work with other companies to help tell their stories through social
Yeah.
impact. Is that right?
Yes, social impact storytelling. Yeah, so we work with nonprofits, government agencies, and also for-profit businesses, all entities that have a positive impact on the world, and we help them with storytelling. Yes.
That's wonderful. What a great guy.
Yeah. It's fun. It's very exciting work. You meet a lot of very interesting people. It's like being on tour all the time too,
Oh,
you
damn.
know?
Oh, that's
So,
really cool.
yeah. Yeah, and you
So,
guys are the only ones I pretty much still work with. You know, I have a very limited portfolio of music clients, and just pretty much right now only you guys. And I love working with you guys, and I can't wait for the next stuff.
Right on. We definitely try to be, an organization that has a good impact on the world as well.
You
So
are.
I like to think that we fit into the mold.
yeah, we're really happy that you still work with us, even if you don't really work with other musical artists anymore. Um, I thought it would be fun to talk about how we started to put together the Lifebringer music video.
Mhm.
I know that part of it had. Thanks, Mar. You're really sweet. I know that part of it was me staying up until like 6:30 a.m. my time, which is a little bit after when Pete normally wakes up. Like you wake up at 6:30 your time, something like that. So we're
Yeah.
like the meme of like the skeletons passing each other on the roller coaster.
Yeah.
Try
Yeah.
and be like, Pete, I had this idea. Are you ready? And he would be like, good morning, I'm outside smoking my second cigarette of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, we exchanged like death voices, like morning voice versus sleep exhaustion voice. And that was basically how we kind of developed like some of the basic elements and then the overall planning. And the way that we usually tend to work is we cover like 6 different things at the same time over maybe a couple weeks of talking it out. So like, there were a lot of details, and just when we need to do it, I think the communication is there, but we definitely do it our own way. And so when we bring you into the picture, Jonas, I think that really made a difference. I know we'll be talking about that later on. I don't want to get too ahead of myself or
Mhm.
ourselves here.
Just a disclaimer, I don't have a plan here. I'm just fucking flying by the seat of my pants.
Hmm.
So any direction you want to take this, feel free. I just thought we could start here. One thing
Yeah.
that I've always felt was really cool is that since we tell these like fantastical stories, Jonas, you always find a way to anchor them in the real world. You find like, I don't know, we always get lucky. You're like, let's film on this day, and then it turns out to be a day that it just like fucking snows or something.
Yeah.
I don't know how this. Do you like have a sense for this sort of thing? How do you do this?
I would hope so that I do. Yeah, we got always really lucky with the settings when we planned for it. And yeah, what can I say? I mean, you guys come always to me. What I love about you guys or working with you guys is that you always have these concept albums, right? There's always a story behind everything. And it's each album after album revolves around the same like story and evolves, right? So that's pretty much what the brand is, right? So whenever we work together, I know kind of what to expect, how you guys are. I know now how Adrian, how you are in front of the camera, and now I know the moves that Pete makes.
Oh, that's
Um,
true.
and that head shake.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then it's usually I also get that 6 a.m. email from Adrian where it's like there's a ship from the 1700s and it sinks and the lady is underwater and she's deaf in isolation and she feels lonely and yearns for belonging, and it's okay, that's the storyline. And then and then I have to think about, okay, how do you translate that, right? So and that's a challenge. Well, appreciate about working with you guys, right? So I happen to live nearby the ocean, so there's this aquatic theme. So that's how I came up with the Succumb location, right? For that shoot, for example. And same for when we did to bury me or bury you?
Bury you. Also,
Bury
the
you.
Drowner of Worlds as well.
Don't
we
know. We did too. Yeah, yeah. But for we did bury me. We did filming on the in the graveyard, and that's where it was snowing, right?
yes,
Um,
that was a cold one.
and I
I
think
fell
that
on
was
my
just a
ass.
coincidence because you were just in Boston, right? I think that week, and we kind of came up on a whim. Hey, it's still going to snow this weekend. Are you still there? And I was quickly thinking, like, where are some historical graveyards? Oh, in my town. So that worked out wonderfully. So
I did something bad.
yeah.
1 second. Sorry, guys. Okay. Please do the thing.
Right on.
Oops. Sorry.
What
It's
happened?
not.
Did
It.
something?
I just accident. I was trying to like. I was trying to fix something and then I made it worse. You know how
Oh.
it be.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what
We
always
will be
happens.
right back. Bip. Bip. Maybe we can do this. Nope. Sorry that I'm
It's just
stressed
it
out
looks like a
trying to
soul.
fix things.
No, that's okay.
Here we go. Maybe this works. Why won't you see it?
Are we still audio live? Video? Not video.
This looks like my soul. I think it's pretty soon. It's just gonna be a meme that our like YouTube streams are like.
Yeah, we definitely we'll move over to Twitch. I think that'll be helpful.
Yeah, I think that would be the way to go.
Yeah.
Is this gonna be display capture 1? There we go. Okay. Okay, we're fine. I'm just gonna leave this
Yay.
here. And cool. Anyway, sorry.
Excellent. Yeah, okay, so one thing that I want to mention is that everybody who's watching now, if you've got questions for, obviously for us, but also for Jonas, this is like the one time that you get to ask the videographer for every Seven Spires music video a question about any of the music videos, as long as it's like a reasonable question. And and so along those lines, I guess I kind of want to ask a question to Jonas, about, like in our minds, when Adrian and I are working with this sort of thing, we develop it to a certain point and then we present it to you, and and from there, we have a lot of discussion that we have to do. But when it comes to actually executing it for you, like, what are the differences between your planning and your execution? Because our planning versus execution is only up to when we bring it to you.
Okay. Well, I do plan like the parameters of a shoot, right? Like we set the location and I have a rough idea and outline of what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But oftentimes I don't have the chance to get out to check out the location in advance. So when I show up, I also have a musician's background, not nearly on you guys' level, but I played drums and guitar and played in bands during my teenage years and early 20s. And so for me, it's kind of in the sense of jamming, right? You're getting like this jam, you're jamming in A, right? You kind of know the chord structure, you throw a D in there and E or whatever, and so, and that's how I do it with filming too, right? Like a lot of things come to me in the moment. For Paradox, I kind of knew we wanted to like have those lights down there, right on the ground, so I brought those along. But when it came to, for example, Cabaret of Dreams, and we went to this old burnt out church, right? Like in the beginning, there's this shot where Jack's solo starts to kick off and you see like the dust kicking up into the camera. Like that wasn't planned. The dust was just there on the ground, and we kind of messed around with kicking dust up with our feet. And
also accidentally threw some like at you. Sorry.
exactly,
I still
yeah,
feel bad
yeah.
about
And then
that.
you just play around with that, right? And same with when we went on the graveyard and it's super snowy. Like, who knows what's gonna happen, right? Like we were both like kind of. I remember trying not to fall, right? And the snow was this deep, and I was just sinking in all the time. You were and you just play it off in the moment, and try to get in there and out there as quickly as possible, because it was really wet, sleet, snow, and it was getting on your hair too, I remember, and on the makeup. So it had to
Yeah.
be a quick situation there.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
So it's a lot to just like the location in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's cool that you improvise it, as a musician would. That's I guess that's like a way to maintain a lot of really unique stuff
Exactly. Yeah.
in when it comes to the moment and everything.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So okay, so there are a couple questions from people. Um, Michelle asks, how do you go about picking locations for the videos? What's the thought process? And I mean, besides, I guess, the way we communicate and
Mm.
and that sort of thing.
I mean, that might be a good question for you to answer, Pete, right? Because you are mostly behind the scenes, on the boring side of things, like we communicate a lot, trying to figure out like what location can we bring lights in there, how much power is there, can we bring a fog machine, or is it going to trip the alarms, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
those are all the parameters that I give, right? And then
mhm.
I think we're just trying to look for venues that kind of resemble the look and feel that you guys have.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. I it's been so long that I forgot that I'm the one who usually plans the locations, and it's usually between Adrian and I. We come up with um, definitely like certain parameters, general parameters, and for the music videos that we have within this cycle, what we really wanted to do initially was we actually wanted to work with abandoned locations a little more.
Mhm.
So I ended up like doing a ton of research on abandoned concert halls, abandoned like any kind of like larger
That's right.
building or
But the
room.
debauchery we wanted to do in something abandoned, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. And so basically that whole thing was like, how illegal is it gonna be to get into this place? Is there somebody I can contact? I mean, I called like people from towns, people from organizations, police stations. I really tried to like set something up. We ended up not, doing that as a plan.
Yeah.
Um, and that just goes to show like throughout the process just how much things can change. It's funny, I could talk about the abandoned thing all day because I can just picture like Chris trying to hand his drum set over a barbed wire
Oh
fence or
my
something,
god.
like that would be the kind of stuff we would have to do. But there are, I suggest if you're like a local to the Boston area, there are a ton of like really cool concert halls around here. And if you're if you're somebody who likes to research things, there's a lot of cool stories behind some of that stuff. So that was kind of fun. But as far as like the rest, to answer the rest of the location stuff, I guess there's like we have this really wide range, and then we slim it down based on things like budget, time, distance, and whatever else.
Yeah.
And we ended up finding one, two, or three locations that worked for all of the videos that we are slash will be putting out this cycle. So
Hmm.
um yeah, so there's a lot of improvising there too, I
Yeah.
suppose.
It's all a creative process.
Hmm. Hmm. Um, I guess we should keep going with other people's questions. Oh, so David asks, when you hear the music, how much of your vision changes from the first pitch idea from the band? So I guess once you hear the song, how do things how does that inform you after we've already talked about it, I guess?
Mm. I think like when you look, for example, like Gods of Debauchery is very bluish looking and very cold looking. It's a little desaturated looking, and Lightbringer is like very saturated and very warm looking, right? Especially the dinner scenes. And that's not, I don't know if it was intentional, but that's every cycle that we did music videos together. The same thing as for Paradox and Cabaret of Dreams,
Oh,
right?
good point.
Like Cabaret of Dreams is a lot warmer than the Paradox.
Mm.
Um, And I think for what do we do? For Sakam is also very warm, you
Yeah.
know.
And
But then you
Drowner's
have
super
those
cold.
cold, snowy scenes, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there's like always that. Um, so so I think like when you come to me with that story, right, and then I listen to the song, that's when it gets like that mood, like the is it gonna be like a colder video or a warmer video? When it's warmer, then you know maybe we play with something with candles, like we did in Cabaret of Dreams. If
Mm-hmm.
it's colder, you play with a lot of lights and you turn them down a little bluish, or you just go on the ocean or into a deserted forest in the wintertime where it looks cold, you know. So I think that's how the my vision is influenced by the music after hearing the pitch first, if you
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
like.
really
Sorry, go ahead.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna point out the like the warm versus cold thing. That's one of those things that like you know, I mean, that's not too much of a technical term, but I don't think in warm versus cold as a first reaction visually.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
so that's it's you know now that you pointed out for each album, there's like a warmer and a colder.
Yeah.
That's yeah, that's interesting.
I think it's
Someone
really
asked.
really cool the way you interpret like emotions and like the vibe of the concept through like actual light versus dark, warm versus cold colors in the same way that I guess we think of like major and minor chords or like how
Exactly.
loud or
Yeah. Yeah.
soft.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so
Yeah. It's
really
very much
cool
the same.
different set of
Same.
faders, I guess.
Yep. Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
What else do we have?
Um, well, somebody asked which video was the most challenging to shoot. Um, I they're all pretty challenging in one way or another. But I don't know. Like, what do you guys think?
I almost ate shit so many times when we were shooting on the rocks in Drowner because it was so slippery because it was raining.
Mm-hmm.
But Gods of Debauchery was challenging because it was the fourth of 4 days of shooting, and it's like almost how long is the song? Like eight or 10 minutes or something.
Yeah. 9 minutes.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and we just had to play it over and over again, and your back must have been just like ready to die by the end of the day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
I think
Lifebringer was hard because we had so many fucking people to manage
that's
as
right.
well.
Yeah. 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 That's
Yeah.
right.
Sorry to
Um,
interrupt.
yeah. Lifebringer was hard because we had so many people there, right? And um, it's like always challenging, especially because we shot like shortly after the COVID wave was over, right? Like where it was starting to be safe and everybody seeing each other for the first time. So, you know, it's like tough to keep your, hey guys, you know, we gotta, you know, stay on schedule and keep this
Mm-hmm.
going, right? You know, so that's definitely challenging. Handling a lot of people, right? I think what was really challenging was also filming in the snow. That was really challenging, just being cold and wet, and the snow was coming on the camera. I remember that, and
And you had like
so
bags on your camera, I remember.
I think I had something over it, or yeah, just something to protect it. And I just had a very tiny camera with me to just like reduce the impact. But yeah, other than that, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
have to say like the snow on my hair would like fall there and then melt because it's close to my head and body heat, and then it would freeze again.
Freeze again. Yep.
Yeah. So there was a point where my hair was just doing this, like
Mm.
anytime I would move. So I mean, that was just like you said, cold, and it would have been miserable if I weren't doing something that I loved.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a physical challenge for sure.
Yeah. On the
Hmm.
contrary, Rex asked like what was the best music video to put together and the funnest to shoot. And I would want to say Cabaret of Dreams because I really enjoyed the burnt out church.
That
Like
was a cool
like
place.
there was such an epic location on this like lake, and just having to play the shots with you walking up to the castle, that was really cool.
Mm.
Um, you know, that dust that we were kicking up, that was fun. And the candle scenes we did at the end of the day, those were really fun. Um, so there was just like a video where everything kind of fell in place, and I had so much footage from the warehouse where we shot the performances. Um, and there was really like a compact shoot, like these two locations, and so much each location yielded so much, so that was really fun.
That was a fun one. That was
Yeah.
it might have been my first video shoot as well, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
good experience. Thanks for that.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Lifebringer, now I feel now there was like you guys were younger and it was just like 5 years ago, right? Like now we're becoming more daring, do bigger things, right? We're getting into a castle. I have certainly more stuff to bring, right? So now when we're arriving, it's like unloading, and it becomes more just like, a very, very labor intense process, right? Like when we shot Lifebringer, we filmed his drums on the second floor, right? So we
Oh
had to
my
bring
god,
all
I
the
forgot.
drums up there, right? And then we had to like walk through the castle, like, okay, where do we film Pete, and where's Jack gonna go, right? And so like just logistically getting all these like scenes and trying to figure that out the day off, and heavy labor and like moving stuff around, so like that that becomes fun and challenging in its own right.
Mhm.
But it's getting a bigger production now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I definitely think that, like I can't, first of all, I can't believe that it's been like 5, 6-ish years only. And we've done, there's so much as a result of just that short period of time. But definitely over time, our ambitions, I think collectively are really getting up there. And I think that, for the next round, whenever that's going to be, we like for this because of exactly what you're saying, I think we'll need to find staff or bring more friends just to help organize and carry things and whatever else, because you're right, it does keep getting more intense, and and we're like, none of us are going to stop pushing that envelope, but there's only so many things we can all carry,
Yeah.
and whatever else. And I mean, somebody asked, are you ever going to shoot on a real ship? I mean,
I sure hope so.
we would love to. Yeah, I mean, that was something that talked
We're,
about for we talked about that
yeah,
for
we did,
like,
right?
yeah, we talked about that for like 30 seconds, and we were like, no, impossible. Like
Yeah.
we really wanted to, but I think this time around it was tough, but we're going to keep pushing the envelope and getting more ambitious with it.
My wife's grandparents live down in Tampa, in the Clearwater area, and there's like this old pirate ship where just people just cruise around within the bay and get hammered on. But I always, when I'm down there, I'm like thinking that one, that might be a cool one, one day. And even here in the area in the Boston Harbor, there's so many cool vintage ships, right?
Yeah.
But getting access to that is like a whole nother situation, and being out at sea and filming out there, and you can't predict the weather. That's a whole nother
Yeah.
Yeah, who's
another
gonna be
animal.
throwing
But
up?
it would certainly be. I think that's something we have to do eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Agreed.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, Jonas, next time you're in Florida and you see that ship, take a video
I
or
will.
something, because
I will.
I'm curious, because like with the ship thing in particular, it's like most of the things that we did look at this time around kind of looked like a place you'd have a wedding or like a harbor cruise kind of thing, even though it was an older ship.
Yeah.
And that's often the challenge with almost any space we go into, is cutting out some of those elements, I think, that like take you from the setting
That's
and bring
right.
you
Yeah,
back
yeah.
into the real world.
That's a
So
great point. That's a great point. I
Like
mean,
hiding all the bride and groom signs.
yeah, yeah,
that's a great point.
exactly.
Like, Gods of Debauchery actually was very challenging. It turned out great, but the day of filming, there were so many exit signs that were just like blasting that and that's like this. It doesn't fit in there in the dark vibe. You don't want to see an exit sign, right? Like so, working around those things can be challenging.
Yeah,
Damn, I didn't
yeah.
think about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I remember that shoot was the Gods of Debauchery shoot. I just thought of this, but the Gods of Debauchery shoot was definitely the most challenging for all of us, because it was the last day of the like
It was
3 or 4 day
raining. Remember when
process.
we were loading in and out? It was raining really hard and it was just wet and
Yeah. Yeah, I remember just being like, I don't even want to do it. Like I
yeah,
like had a hard time getting myself from the like, putting the clothes on and all that stuff. But yeah,
yeah,
we were tired.
yeah. What else do we?
Let's see. Um Andre asked who decided to have Steve in the Gods of Debauchery video. If you know, you know. That's an inside joke. Let's see. Here's a good one from Andre as well. For Lightbringer, how did you get the party vibe going on? Was everyone supposed to do a certain thing, or
Oh
was
my
it just
God.
like, here's the room, here's the table, party vibe, go bananas?
So Jonas really helped us a lot with that. Pete, you picked the food, which great choices, by the way.
Yes.
But we had to like be in the room and like talk over each other for like an hour and like cheers 100 times.
I
Mhm.
also want to mention the fact that like, not like, so we showed up and we were like, okay, this is the first scene that we're gonna shoot. Like that was Jonas's recommendation, and so it was like, I guess it was technically the morning, and what helped the party vibe was the fact that the alcohol props weren't props, and I basically, one of us made an announcement beforehand. We're like, take like 2 sips, like please do not drink a whole glass, but take 2 sips. And then after an hour of us like trying to talk over one another and like acting up and everything like that, it's like, oh boy, we here we go. But yeah, Jonas, I think you did a really good job of cueing, like some of those energy things, but also keeping it like quiet. That was the weirdest scene I've ever shot, and like probably one of the biggest challenges. I think for a lot of us, it was challenging. So.
Yeah, I don't really even remember how we shot that scene because everything went so fast, and I remember getting in there and you want to be mindful of not dirtying anything with the wine and the blood that we had, right? Like, and the guy was there kind of like sometimes, just so you want to be careful of that. And also, if you remember, like there was like around the time where my son was supposed to be was born, so it was just a few days before. So there was like a lot of stuff going on. So I don't even fully remember how I just had like this checklist that I just ran down. But I mean, it was probably me just like yelling a lot and clapping my hands.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's what
That
I do
was
with
it.
And
Adrian too.
this.
Like yeah, but like when I film Adrian, like just for her solo scenes, it's always like, come on, or I yell at her like louder, louder, or those kind of things. And yeah, and I do the same thing for the party scenes, right? You kind of have to mirror the vibe, right? Like when you're same with the band and the audience, right? Like if the audience has fun, the band has more fun, and vice versa. So if and for that I have somebody else shooting, right? So Doa is filming, and I can, you know, amp up the crowd in certain ways, and then just like get the party vibe going, and keep it still controlled at the same time. Once the scene is over, clap my hands and it has to be quiet again because we're working.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think one of the biggest challenges and one of the weirdest parts was that we were supposed to be like rowdy as shit for a certain period of time that was like 20 seconds, and then everybody had to be dead silent, and it was like, all right, prep again for that same thing, or we're going to move on to a
Yeah.
different version of that. And so it was like, and we have to all really be feeling that. So we were like getting all wild for 20 seconds, and then, all right, everybody shut up, and then go wild again, quiet. So that was, and then also you mentioned the like us kind of trashing the room a little bit. I remember the owner who I'd been corresponding with, he came in and saw it, and I was like, all right, I'll like write you a check if you need any dry cleaning done or whatever, just let me know. And he's like, oh no, we have like bachelorette parties here, don't even worry, this is nothing. And I was like, oh,
We had literal like blood and wine on the table and like crumbs just fucking everywhere.
And
It was
grapes.
so nice.
Do you remember the grapes?
Yeah,
Oh my
right, right.
god.
We like stepped on grapes everywhere and stuff. Yeah, and he was like completely unfazed. He's like, this is nothing, and I was thrilled by that response. I thought he would have been pissed because
Yeah.
you know another thing is like when we try to book a location, you know, every time I'm on the phone with them and they're like, okay, what kind of organization are you? And I'm like, we're a metal band, and they're like, and then they give this long list of like, oh, don't do this, and I'm like, you don't know what kind of metal band we are. Like I know there's a stereotype around metal bands and whatever,
Brides are
but
literally worse than us.
right, right,
It's
The
it's
coffee
fine.
and
No one's
cigarette
bringing
type.
glitter. Don't worry. Like,
exactly.
just stop.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
No one's
like,
mom is gonna be here. It's
yeah,
fine.
yeah, right, right. Yeah, they're like, I definitely think a bridezilla is worse than a metal band
Probably, yeah.
because we're working, you know. But
Hmm.
yeah, I definitely got the spiel from every location that we've dealt with. They're like they're
There was
really
one
worried.
that was like, you can film here, but we aren't. You can't sing on the stage. And we were like, how are we supposed to film a music vid?
Mm, yeah, it was stupid. Like I mean, I remember that one in particular. I was like, there are going to be 5 people in a room that can fit 700 people, and you're telling me the vocalist can't like not even full blast sing. You know, that was funny. We had a laugh about that for sure.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Oh, on
That's
that
right.
note, Jonas, you do always tell me to actually sing and or scream when we're filming because it
That's
looks
right.
so
Yeah.
much better. Yeah.
Mhm.
I've seen some people ask like, "Oh, I always wondered if singers actually do that, actually
Yeah.
sing when they make
You
music
see
videos." And
the
yeah,
vocal
because you can
cords,
see
you know.
like the
Yeah.
difference between versus
Yeah.
ah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 What else? Any place
Um,
where you haven't shot a video yet but would like to? I mean, it would be cool to like do something like overseas sometime. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
me and Adrian, like when you're over there, maybe I'm over there at the same time, and we could figure something out because there's so many. You know, I grew up over there, so I I know so
Mm-hmm.
many castles and deserted stuff. Like I know a ton of good things in my area, at least. You know,
That
so
would
that
be,
might be something that could be always
yeah, that
like
would be
something
awesome.
cool.
I would
Yeah,
love to.
just gonna have
yeah,
to plan for the long game. You know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And well, and we have, you know, we have discussed a little bit, you know, the idea of maybe doing some back catalog videos at some point, and I think that, you know, like you said, like if there's kind of a special opportunity or something unique that just kind of is happenstance, then that would be, you know, a great time. I mean, I you literally just put like 800 gigs of you know extra stuff onto my hard drive, so you know, so we'll keep building that file up, and
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
Kind of related, kind of unrelated, but I was just thinking about how you encourage me to like make like ugly faces when I scream and stuff like that. And somebody mentioned a while back in the comments that they love that there's so much emotion in Spire's videos, and I think a lot of that is I can attribute to you just encouraging me to do things without worrying about looking cute. For
Mhm.
example, like in Bury You, there are some very like gross faces from me, and like my nose is like splotchy and pink because it's so fucking cold, and I'm like crying and shit, and like normally I'd be like, ew, don't post that, but like the fact that you left that in, I think, and that you were like, just cry, it's fine.
Mhm.
Like I think that
That makes it
is,
raw, right?
yeah, it's super raw, even if it still looks really slick, and I feel like that actually works really well with our approach to songwriting and
Yeah.
stuff like that in general.
And I think those are the best moments. And we had when that session where we filmed Lifebringer video, we also had like one instance, you know, where something like that happened, right? And those are moments you don't plan for,
Oh
but
yeah, shit, I
you
forgot
know,
about
but
that.
yeah, but you really wanna see, you know, they bring the whole thing to bring alive, right? Because there's like so much fakeness and everything is like overly produced and figured out and makeup and
Mhm.
everything has to be like production value here, and production value can still here, but oftentimes you beat like the whole like authenticity out of it, right? And it becomes this big budget production and without a soul, right?
Yeah.
But when you get the makeup running a little bit and you didn't plan for it, or you just do cry, like that's a priceless emotion, right? That if you capture something like that.
Yeah.
Wow. I just had this thought, but I actually think that that is going to be one of the biggest challenges, at least in my mind, going forward. Is as we have more resources and and things, we continue to get good at doing this sort of thing. How to keep it, how to keep those happy mistakes, happening and that sort
Yeah.
of thing, and that authenticity. So
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think, you know, if the budget increases, like investing it in the right things, just like investing it into like a cool location, right? Like we have been talking and seeing like some cool stuff recently. So like there are like, there are options out there that come at a higher price point that are just, very difficult to achieve for musicians,
yeah, yeah.
in normal life, so, but should, by some grace of, God, like the bigger budgets fall into our hands, like investing in those things, or, making a trip out of state to something really cool that's like really planned, and then just bringing time, right? That you're there to shoot a video, but you still have to have fun, right? And that's always a challenge when you, like, same, I remember when I was playing music, and when I went in the studio and just tried to record the drums, I always messed up, but the clock is ticking, it's like $100 an hour, $100 an hour, it's like, and it's like a fun process, right? That's creative, and you want to be relaxed and enjoy it, and enjoy the experience too, right? You're not in the studio every day or shooting a music video every day. So like finding that balance, I think, is really important. So like just investing in time, I think, would be a really big thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's true actually. Like I think just having the locations that we did in hindsight, like just having the locations that we worked with this time around for like twice as long, or maybe less than that, but more time would have, definitely would have made a difference, like internally, if nothing else. So that's actually a good point. That's a good consideration for the future.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we've got a couple um, questions here. Would you guys consider a different style of music video with more effects, or more of a short movie versus the band playing and storytelling elements? So I guess, would we ever consider a different style?
I mean, I totally would, and I think we've talked about this idea in the past for many videos, but the less performance aspect you have, the more you have to hire like extras, find new locations, make sure that no random ass people in like modern garb are gonna like walk through the set, shit like that. Like there's so much other stuff that goes into that, and I think those were all the things that you told me, Jonas, when I was like 19, like, and then we're gonna have like a party in the underworld, and we're gonna make it like, and there's gonna be dragons and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know. Do you have something to add?
Me?
Yeah, besides.
Yeah, I mean, like those things, that's when it becomes a higher production. You're, getting dragons in there and just pulling all that stuff off, and then you're running a very fine line with, that it looks like soulless, or just like overly produced and just like so graphic, and it has to be raw. Like music is something like artistic and raw, right? Like people relate to it, they feel it, with so many senses, right? So the raw you can keep it, the better.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But I do like the idea of a short movie, right? Like that could be a cool idea sometime.
I think so too. Especially
well,
for
and
like
but at the same time, it's also, you guys are so talented at your instruments, and I always love like, getting close up and seeing you guys like play. So I think that's like also important part for you guys, in the music videos, to show off that. And no disrespect, like you guys are always great in front of the camera, but there's, when you're doing a short film, there has to be like real acting in there, so that can be also a challenge, right? So, and that that becomes then like a really heavy production with like finding the locations and figuring it all out and scripting it all out. So
Right.
and the jamming aspect is a little bit taken away and becomes more storyboarded.
This is
That's
true.
yeah.
This is true. Yeah, we have actually considered. I remember some of our discussions. We've considered a variety of things that are different approach wise, but nothing has taken hold yet. And so that's something I think in the coming years and in future albums, that's definitely something to look forward to, because we will be exploring that. And it's just a
Mhm.
matter of where it lands once we've spent all the details. So
Yep.
Pete, have you ever felt nervous in front of the camera? I saw that Ultrazine was asking because I guess we always look confident.
oh, that's nice. Well, yeah, I don't think nervous, not in my own personal experience. I think because of the live aspect of our careers, there's like being in front of a camera is like almost like a relief. It's like, all right, we can do. There's a lot more to work with. There's a lot more options. So I can't say that I feel nervous. I mean, how do you feel, Adrian, about that?
I get probably more stressed about it than you do, but I mean, my mom is also a photographer, so like while we're filming, I'm also thinking about like I know certain angles look good, or like does my jawline look right if I do that, shit like that.
Mhm.
Am I like squinching my eyes enough? It's just trying to like look right
Mhm.
while
Mhm.
also trying to be like relaxed and human and deliver like emotions. I don't know. It's an active balancing act.
I
Mhm.
think we try
Activity.
to always figure that out, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
every time we're doing like one take in the beginning and you
Mm-hmm.
just give me what you do, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then during that take, I see what I like and certain motions. And then we have done it in the past where I'm like, yo, when you do that, that looks really great.
Yeah.
Do that more often. Have the hands like here,
Yeah, it's
or,
always the
you
hands.
know, have like this pose or whatever. So, um, yeah, it's a lot of like playing it out in the moment, but you definitely bring a lot of like experience in that aspect already.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I actually think that, like to Adrian's point with like the angle thing and trying to work it, like that's something that I think we've all learned from each other quite a bit, which is really cool. And then, but I think we are also used to seeing ourselves, and like we are very analytical of ourselves it throughout that process. So then when you come in, Jonas, and like you said before, I mean, you try to provide some feedback or your perspective, and especially with the raw elements, that really, at least in my own opinion, that really helps us get um self-critiquing and making sure that we're presenting like ourselves in the best light, and then really putting it in your hands when we hear the feedback you know
Yep.
so that, yeah, I think that's the dynamic, but I never think it's nerve-wracking. I just think it's kind of like a challenging, just another part of the
Mhm.
job.
Yep.
Um,
What the F should I do with my hands is a struggle I am familiar with. Yes, I feel you.
yeah.
Ah,
Let's see
are you
how much
scanning
time. Okay.
comments? We have
So
like 10 minutes, so we could probably tackle like a few more.
yeah, we've got time for a little more. How much time is spent in post production for each video?
Good question. Maybe like 2 weeks or so. I don't know. It's like tough to say because we work on multiple projects at the same time. So we probably do, if I count together, maybe like, yeah, probably like 6, 7, 8 days, like of full work.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, definitely takes some time. Yeah, just like syncing all the tracks, right? We have always like 16, 17, 18 tracks. Like Chris with the drums has like 5 angles.
Oh my god.
Adrian had like 5 angles. You have like 3 or 4. Jack has 3, 4. Then there's B-roll of the storylines, right? So you have like so much footage, and then you're gonna have to sync all these like playthroughs with the music up frame by frame, and then you're gonna have to cut that out, right? And then build a storyline over top, and then you have to color correction and grading,
Oh
and
my god.
then you're getting feedback, and you're watching it after a week of letting it rest, and you're like, shit, like I gotta do everything You know, you're like scratching certain things and do it again. So yeah, it definitely takes some time.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, that sounds like making your own album. So
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
yeah.
pretty much. Yeah, yeah. It's a lot of work. Yeah.
Wow.
How do you pick, like, if you want B-roll in this section or if you want a shot of Chris here? Like,
Oh.
I really have no idea. So I'm sure you have some sort of method.
No, like even editing is like a lot like jamming for me. Just there's literally like you can like from maybe big TV studios where you can click camera 1, click camera 3, camera 4. So I kind of have the same setup for the first rough cut of I first cut together the band scenes, and I click literally like 1, 6, 3, 11, 12, 15, 3, and do like a rough cut. Then I fine tune that shot by shot by shot. And then I usually keep you guys in for sure at like in Succumb where like there's like this where you have like this little
Oh
solo
yeah.
thing with like Chris, like definitely want to see you guys doing that, so and then I'll use a lot of B-roll of Adrian when she's singing and more atmospheric stuff when there's maybe no vocals, right? But it's more of a feeling that I lead with than like a strategy per se.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But it's a good question, yeah.
Yeah. So somebody asked a question, and I want to address it because it leaves it leads to a funny story. But so somebody asked, does the label have any say in terms of like what to do with the videos? And the answer is really no. Like they don't provide any like pre-feedback, like it has to be this, it has to be that, or whatever, besides like the technical specifications, like resolution and that sort of thing. But so we have full control over the vision. But during the Emerald Seas process, I remember we were pretty tight on money, so we initially went with someone else for some aspects of those videos. And then we brought that product, and we knew it wasn't the same as working with you, and we were like, let's see how this goes. And so we sent them along, and the label was like, could you change this? This doesn't look to be the same quality as that, and that sort of thing. So they just give us.
They also said my makeup wasn't dark enough, and I think it was blonde at the time. And
Yeah.
I was like, excuse me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's different.
I remember that because I hold a grudge until I die.
Yeah.
But...
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's like, come on, But so I remember, like, the label was like, all right, this, and the thing is that we were kind of like, all right, this is not good. And then we give it to the label, and they're like, this is not good. And we're like, yeah, it just sucks. And then, and so then we came back to Jonas, and we're like, Jonas, save us. And so so that's how that story went. So I just wanted to share that because that was that's like a funny memory and just part of the story arc. But no, the label doesn't have any say unless it's something that we already know.
Yeah.
So
someone asked for the cameras to be more zoomed in. I'm doing my best. That's about the best I can do. YouTube keeps scaring the shit out of me because it's like there's no data. Fuck you.
Wait, somebody asked for our cameras to be zoomed in?
The capture on YouTube, like.
Oh yeah.
Because Zoom arranges it in like 2 and then 1 because there's only 3 of us. Normally there'd be 4, and so. Anyway.
Yeah. Right.
Doing my damnedest.
That's right. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Thanks for always doing such a wonderful job on the technical end of this.
Oh, there we go.
Somebody's curious about some of the places where we get our clothes. If we want to elaborate on that quickly.
I shop at Shrine of Hollywood, Dracula Clothing, Punk Rave. Use code Adrian for 15 euros off your order of more than 90 euros. All caps. Where else do I buy clothes? I wear Fluvlog boots in the latest album cycle. Yeah.
Yep.
I bought them on sale. just in case anyone's like, you spend so much money on clothes. Bought them on sale. Most of the things that I buy on sale. This was from a market in Mallorca. This shirt was a gift from my grandma. This belt was a gift from my grandma. Sometimes you can find cool stuff just like randomly online, Amazon, if you can bear to support him. You know, I do the corset that I had from blah 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 Gods of Debauchery, the gold one with the armor on it, was made for me by a tailor called Ilmatar Corsetry and Couture, and we worked on that together for a while. And she's working on a jacket for me. It's very cool. She also makes stuff for Elise of Amaranth and also Nora of Battle Beast and probably many other really cool singers. Where do you shop, Pete?
Well, you kind of covered it all for the most part. You know, so we, the rest of us in the band, do also shop at, you know, we come to Adrian and we're like, hey, Adrian, point us in the right direction, and you know, and so that's cool. But we also obviously have our own personal styles. So like I shop at like Express, for example.
Oh, yeah.
And so every now and then I find something that I can work into, you know, a Spire's outfit that I usually use for like gigs and stuff. And like when I you know, usually I'm in like a band t-shirt for these kinds of streams, but usually I, you know, I wear like a button-down shirt, and I try to always just kind of look like Pete. And so, you know, I shop at Express. I find random stuff online at like those kinds of store. I forget the name of type of store, but those kinds of stores that sell like designer stuff, but it's been like resold or something like that.
Oh,
Not
like
thrift stores.
ThredUp or something?
Yeah, kind
Depop?
of. Yeah, like that. So, so I could, you can find some gold there, and you know, and we like trade stuff too. Like Jack and Chris and I will like a piece of clothing will circulate between
That's
us a
true.
little bit. Yeah, so you know,
Yeah. That's
yeah.
funny. Yeah, also, it's one of my like irrational fears is that people think that I tell you guys what to wear.
Yeah, that's
Just
legit.
wanted to share that with everyone.
That is legit. That's, you know what, that is now, or that is kind of an irrational fear of mine too, because it's like that would never, like, we would come to you and be like, what, how do you think this looks or whatever, but it's not like you'd be like, oh, you know, take that earring out and, you know, like this kind of thing. Like that would it's, yeah, it's a funny thought. Okay, so somebody I guess the last ish question is, and this is a good one, which camera does Jonas prefer to use, and which editing software?
Great question. So the last videos were I shot on a red camera, which I love working with. It's just great image. It's great to work with in post-production, and it just looks great. But it has immense file size. Next up, for me, I worked on the Sony A7S II, but it's really good in low light. And I think I also shot Cabaret of Dreams and the Paradox on that one. And for post-productions in all Adobe, just Premiere Pro, nothing super fancy. And then we have some plugins and lots, if you want to get into it, you know, to get a certain look for the image, etc. So yeah, great question.
Yeah, I was excited that there was like a super technical question, because Adrian and I, or at least I, don't have any idea what you're talking about, but that's probably what it's like when we start talking about like mixing, or you know, or like
music theory.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
but you would get that, Jonas.
Right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, exactly. So does anybody have any other stories that we should share, or any last things?
I don't remember if I said it before, but we're extremely grateful that you bailed us out of our bad situation on the last album, Jonas. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad. I mean, I think it all worked out anyway, but we're
No,
sorry that
no.
we had to try to go with someone else, and we should have just stayed with.
You know what?
Was
One
good.
thing that I really like, as you guys know, I was born and raised in Germany, and I came here about 11 years ago. And since I've started doing like video work, mostly in the Boston area, like there's so many spots when I now drive randomly around or whatever. so many spots where I just remember, oh, here I shot this, and here I shot that, and
Oh,
you remember that guy, I shot this video, and here I shot this company, right? And like those scenes for Burgundy we shot in my town, right? Like 2, 3 minutes from my house, if you remember, right?
oh, right.
Like that graveyard. Like I drive by, I when I go to Stop and Shop or to Whole Foods or whatever, that's where I drive by every second day. So every time I drive by this little church that we filmed in front, remember? We did
Mm-hmm.
a performance scene, and I think about that every time, you know. So
Wow.
that's like really fun, you know. Or when I drive by the coast where we did the photo shoot one, Succumb, like in
Mm-hmm.
Marblehead in that area,
Oh my God, that was
I
so
think
cool.
about it, you know. So it's no, that's always great, you know, just building memories and yeah, and
Oh,
that snow scene, just like being in the woods. Remember when we went into those woods and there were these tiny Christmas trees all covered with perfect snow and
it was,
nobody walked there, maybe a deer or something. It was just like so untouched and it's like it was such a dream to like
yeah.
work in. So
It was like a fairy tale. I'll never forget that shoot either.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was like I felt like I was in Skyrim or something. It was really
Uh-huh.
cool. Magical.
Somebody says David had a great question. Oh, that we missed. Oh, is it $1 million budget question? If we would have $1 million budget, what would we do for a Seven Spires video?
Pay
Oh,
you what you're worth.
yeah. Yeah.
And
And get a ship. Definitely
And
get
get
a
a ship.
ship.
get a
Yep.
ship, get a ship.
We would probably just buy a ship. Okay, so this is the thing is there's so many
Pete
things
and
that we
I would
want
buy a castle together,
to.
and then we would
Right.
shoot everything in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. We would probably do some sort of like long-term investment strategy of like buying a castle and being able to like trick it out as a functional space, or a ship or
Yeah,
something.
or a ship, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
Maybe
like it would be like a tall ship, like one of the old ones.
Yep. Does anybody of you guys know how to sail?
I know how to sail.
You
Like,
figure it out, right?
yeah. I mean, as far as a giant ass ship, I
I
don't know
play
how to
Sea of
sail
Thieves.
that.
I know how to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're. How can I say? I've laughed about the idea of us, all four of us, living together in a castle because it would be like the neighborhood cult. Um, so like if we had a ship, it would just be like a traveling cult again.
It would be a traveling giant problem for everybody that's not us. And
Yeah.
it would be great. It would be great. And the castle thing is sick. I mean, that's
Great idea.
gold. And yeah, I mean that's a great question because like we've kind of been that's always the question is if we had just this little bit more of a resource, even if it's not money, but every little bit really counts. And one of the things that I think being in a band and being inspires and just being who we are, one of the necessary skills is to make a lot from a little. And so the possibilities are endless when you've got a decent amount of resources.
Yeah, it's true. I would really like to fly to Jackson Hole and film a video like in Grand Teton. They have a that festival that's out there? Like
Fire in the Mountains.
Mountain?
Yep.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I would love to film like a video in that area. Actually, when I was there, that was where I got the original lyrics for Gods of Debauchery that I was like thinking about it. So I still like think that would have been the perfect place for it, except that also where we filmed it was the perfect place for it.
hmm
You know what I'm saying?
Iceland could be really cool too.
Iceland would be amazing.
No.
hmm hmm I was actually talking with somebody about Iceland yesterday, and yeah, that's only a 5-hour flight from Boston,
Oh,
and
it's
like,
not far. No, no.
Yeah.
yeah, we could do that. We should stick around after the stream. Yeah. But no, that I actually I forget that part. Jackson Hole.
Jackson Hole, yeah.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful place, and like I just want to go to Fire in the Mountains. But I remember when you were out there, and you sharing some of the like inspirational stuff, and that sort of thing. And that's actually, I hope we can do that at some point.
I hope so too. It would be V cool.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
That's when my anxiety goes up with carrying all the gear flown over there.
Yeah.
That's totally fair.
That's true. Yeah.
I guess
well,
if we went to Iceland, we could rent some while we're there. Although
true,
I think their currency is probably, the exchange rate's probably not that great. Anyway, it's fine. We can figure
I
it
shot
out.
like two videos in Germany, and that was really difficult logistically, like especially with lights and like those bulky items. And one of the shoots, actually, the fog machine set off the smoke alarms, and it was in an industrial ship area. And the fire department showed up, and it was a pretty heavy bill.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we are. I think collectively we are all experts at shipping expensive stuff to far places.
That's true. Yeah. So yeah, maybe we should have to.
We'll take care of each other's needs, and hopefully that'll work out. You can bring the family on a trip to Jackson Hole, and we'll suddenly appear with all your video gear.
Hi.
Yeah. It's us.
Can't get rid of us.
Yep.
Cool.
Shall we wrap it up here, or do you want to keep going?
I'm good if you guys are.
Yeah, I mean, if there are no other questions.
Gothar asked Pete, how did you get into managing the band?
Oh, well, I am technically not the band's manager. I handle a lot of the internal management aspects, and usually the larger projects that consume certain things such as a tour or video shoot logistics and that sort of thing. We are technically our manager is someone else. And a lot of people seem to think that I'm the band's manager, which I'm not. But you can contact me with any management related questions for sure.
And you do manage other bands.
And I am the full manager for other bands. Yes, this is true. And the reason why I did that, and I can do that, is because I have done internal management for Spires for a long time. So, good question.
Yeah. I think this would be a good place to wrap things up. So, Jonas, thank you so much for your time and for being amazing and working with us for all these years. We really appreciate you and everything that you do. And guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us in the chat. It was great to read your questions, and really nice to read your appreciation for Jonas's work. Glad you guys appreciate him as much as we do.
Yep.
Yeah. Pete, you want to give your spiel?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us, and especially to you as well, Jonas. It's great that we could hang and discuss some of this stuff and have some people throw some good questions at us. If you haven't already checked out our pre-order campaign, check it out. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, check it out and hit the like button and share it with your friends. If you haven't checked out the behind the scenes video, share that with your friends. That's pretty funny. Some stuff made it in there that I was like, oh, and and so that's great. If you haven't visited our website to pre-order the album, please do so if you're interested in that. And we will see you next time. Stay tuned for more announcements from us.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.
See you next time.
Bye, guys.